Um, this session is brought to you today along with APIA, the Center for Evaluation at the University of Jayawardena, ARTHA, which is a consulting company in Singapore working with the private sector on evaluation and IMM techniques, and the APC Hub, which works with all communication and events in the Asia-Pacific region for APIA. So welcome, and this is going to be a conversation that I'm certainly looking forward to. But in general, my work deals with impact more and more. I come from the private sector, and I feel very, very passionate about the idea of using evaluation techniques on many issues that are not so easy to measure, even in the private sector. Today, I'm representing the ROI Institute, as well as my company, the ARTHA, but also my work with APIA. And many of my colleagues are here with me today from the SDGV and our team at APIA. And just a couple of reminders for anyone who's joining us today that for simplicity, if you are not speaking or not a speaker, please keep your microphones on mute. And if you don't need to be on video, it's completely fine for you to switch off your video, no problem. And of course, we welcome all interactions, and we will be looking at the chat box. So questions, comments, etc., thoughts, please let the chats come in, and we will keep an eye on that. That's pretty much it. There are no other rules other than just engaging in a good conversation. I would like to welcome, for opening remarks, Ms. Byom-Surong Mujaral, who is the co-founder and co-leader of Eval Youth Mongolia. Hi.
Hi. Thank you, Anindita. I'm very honored to welcome all of you to our webinar today. So today we stand at the intersection of innovation and impact, ready to explore the transformative effects of digital learning on entrepreneurial growth on burgeoning markets. In this webinar, we will hear about our presenter Janet's experiences with the critical elements of development cooperation, highlighting the significant impacts of digitalized training. Thank you for joining us for this webinar, and I'm looking forward to our fruitful discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Bimba. So now it's my pleasure to introduce to you Dr. Janet, Professor Janet Adeligan. So there's a lot I could say about Janet. So I've made a few points as make sure that I say those things about Janet to you. Well, first of all, Professor Janet Adeligan is a professor of accounting and financial economics. She has more than 3 decades of experience in academia. She has at least 1 PhD and 4, if you heard me correctly, that is 4 master's degrees in business administration, economics, education, and in evaluation. She has lived and worked in 4 continents. Her vast work experience has been in organizations like the IMF Research Division and as a representative of Africa and Middle East for the Climate Investment Fund in the World Bank. She also is an editor of the Lead City Journal of the Social Sciences and a member of the editorial board for a Journal of African Development. She has more than 70 publications. I could go on and on and on, but today I'm so very excited that we have Janet here to talk about one of her projects in specific related to the Sustainable Development Goals, a topic that all of us are very keen to hear about. Welcome, Janet, and I'm really looking forward to your presentation.
Yeah, thank you so much, Anindita. I'm sorry that I couldn't, because I'm joining with the phone, so I will not be able to share my PowerPoint. So I am, yes, I think Anindita has, thank you so much.
Yeah. Randika, so Janet on that, Randika will have PowerPoint. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So Randika will help me with the PowerPoint. This project is actually extracted from my Master of Art thesis from University of Saarland in Germany, to which I'm grateful to Dr. Dieter Bogenhold, who supervised this thesis. So the title of the presentation is Evaluation of Development Cooperation, the case of digitalized entrepreneurship training in emerging economies. So what is development cooperation? Can we please move on to the next slide? Of course, the world is somehow divided into the global north and the global south. In the global north, we have the rich countries, which are essentially countries in North America, excluding Mexico, countries in Europe, in the developed world, and some emerging developed countries in Asia. And in the global south, we have a lot of countries from Asia and most of the African countries in the globe. And of course, development cooperation, which is a form of collaboration and assistance. It could come in form of foreign aid, like subsidized loans and credit, commodity assistance in terms of food and capital gains, or technical assistance in terms of knowledge transfer from advice, training and capacity development. And it's theoretically and practically agreed on that development cooperations are enablers of technology transfer, the enablers of innovation and human development. And in terms of technology now, connectivity, digital services, and electricity, they're enablers for modern businesses globally. And in a digitalized society, of course, there are opportunities for entrepreneurs to actively play in that domain. So what do we mean by digitalized entrepreneurship? Who is an entrepreneur? Of course, entrepreneurship can be viewed in two angles, as an economic function or by looking at the traits of the entrepreneur. And in terms of functions, we look at the role of the entrepreneur within the economy, while in terms of personal traits, entrepreneurs they are usually proactive, they are innovators, and they are risk takers. And digitalization, in terms of improved connectivity and ability to utilize digital platform, are very essential. They are very essential parts of innovation in entrepreneurship. So in the global south, a lot of countries are grappling with poverty and they are underdeveloped. There's high level of unemployment, and mainstreaming digitalized entrepreneurship in training in higher education is very important because it helps. Can we please move on to the next slide? Because it can help to produce graduates that can be self-employed instead of those that are job seekers. And it can also help to increase digital development cooperation within these countries. And also in terms of training of trainers, this will have, of course, multiply effects in producing graduate entrepreneurs that can help to transform and to bring about developments in those countries. Please, can you move on to the next slide? So as I said, in the global south, there is a lot of countries in the global south are grappling with underdevelopment and high level of unemployment. For example, in Africa, please move on to the next slide. Yeah, in Africa, there's a lot of, if you look at the slides, you can see high level of unemployment rates. And of course, two-thirds, about 60% of the young people live in Africa, of the people in Africa are young. And these people have, these young people in Africa, there's a high level of unemployment. And so this development cooperation is a way to build entrepreneurship skills so that people don't have to start looking for jobs, and then they can eventually, become self-employed instead of job seekers. Please move on to the next slide. So this development cooperation initiative is between the global north, which is Finland, some institutions in Finland like Aalto University in Finland, Unesco in Finland, and LUT University, Lappeenranta University of Technology in Finland. Start North is an institution in Finland that is promoting digitalized technology in terms of 5G MOICI, which is like some kind of connectivity. MOICI means like connectivity even in the remote area. So Start North is the one promoting this. So they are part of the development cooperation that we have as our case study. And then we also have Ericsson, and which is a mobile technology company. And then we have these are the countries in the global north. And on the other side, we have in Africa, we have African School of Economics with campuses in Nigeria, in Benin, and in Cote d'Ivoire, in 3 countries, and also with collaborations with Stanford University in the US and Princeton. And we have University of Lusaka in Zambia. We have the Addis Ababa Institute of Technology in Ethiopia. So these are the countries in the global north that have come together with some funding from the Ministry of Education and Culture in Finland. They had this global pilot program with a funding envelope of 125,000 euros to facilitate the development cooperation, which was in form of knowledge transfer, technology transfer, and capacity building in the area of digitalized entrepreneurship, to build entrepreneurship skills, so that in that wise, helping to achieve some of the sustainable development goal, the SDG 8 on decent work and economic growth. Can you please move on to the next slides? The SDG 9 on industry, innovation, and infrastructure. Yes, please, the next one, and which is SDG 9, and the one on partnership for the goals, because you have partnership of institutions, both in the public and private sector in the global north and the global south coming together. So this project, can you please move on to the next slide? So this project was coined or given the abbreviated title of 5G EEE Training Intervention Program. And the stages there was a project conception stage and partnership building between the institutions I've mentioned in the global north and the south. And then after that, we then have the pre-workshop preparation, which was getting the project funding, preparing, coming up with the program evaluation theory, the theory of change, preparation of lecture materials, participants selected and registered on the CLAN platform that was used, and then there was baseline assessments. And after that, then we have the program implementation stage. We had the first workshop, which was the joint training, and of course there was ongoing evaluation. There was also midline evaluation or formative evaluation built into the project. Then we have the second workshop, and also evaluation, and of course even while the training was going on, there were practical challenges, group projects, and at the end of the second workshop there was the headline evaluation. 4 months after the project, there was the impact evaluation with the focus group discussion. So this is like in a summary form, the entire what happened in the project. So we have the theory of change, which is, with inputs from just pictorially. Can you move on to the next slide, please? Showing how the different activities that happened and the impact pathway from the inputs to activities to outputs and the outcome. So now we go on to the evaluation question, because this discussion is actually on how to evaluate development cooperation. So some of the questions we asked was, what role can evaluation play in this 5G FBEE or 5G for entrepreneurs projects or digitalized entrepreneurship projects? Because of course there has been 1G, 2G, 3G, 4G, and then we have the 5G. 5G has improved upon the previous communication network by having more ways to more authentication features, being faster than other Gs, and it provides more real-time opportunity in the digitalized world. So what role can evaluation play in this project? What kind of evaluation approach will be suitable for the project? And then we also have the question, does the training in digitalized entrepreneurship, which is this 5G for entrepreneurs training, does it enhance the skill of participants in entrepreneurship and digitalized business than before the training? So we compare the baseline assessments with before and after the training. And then if yes, to what extent, also if any, to what extent has this digitalized entrepreneurship workshop added value in entrepreneurship to participating students in Africa and also in Finland, because we had, students from Africa in this development cooperation, and also we also had students also from the Finnish universities. So please, let's go to the next slide. Some other questions we also asked is, how sustainable does the program, did the 5G for Entrepreneurs program achieve the intended outcome of it? Because the intended outcome is that we, technology transfer, enhance or capacity development of participants in entrepreneurs and digitalized business. Did the program tackle an important problem with an appropriate design? And to what extent did this intervention? Hello?
Janet, can you speak? Because I think there may be a connection issue. So Janet?
Okay, but can you hear me?
Now we can. Okay, you're back on.
Okay, thank you. So, but I'm not seeing the slides that's, okay, yes, okay, thank you very much. So, so did the program tackle an important problem with an appropriate design? To what extent has the intervention contribute to the objective of human capacity development and enhance skills in entrepreneurship, digitalized business, innovation, and knowledge transfer? And is this program going to continue after donor fund has ceased? How sustainable is it? These are the questions we try to answer. So the first question, please, can you move on to the next slide, please? Of course, as part of the project, what role can evaluation play in this digitalized entrepreneurship, in this work, in this training project, this development cooperation? One is that the project is expected to undertake 2 evaluations as an obligation to the donor. It was, stated as part of the project document, because the outcome are very important to determine whether there will be possibilities of replication or upscaling in other partner countries in a development cooperation. And so as a result of this, evaluation was a kind of mandatory reporting, a reporting mandate to donor, and the donor was the Ministry of Education and Culture of Finland, with funding channel through Aalto University and Lappeenranta University of Technology. And then to see whether the evaluation is also expected to let the donor know whether there was value for money or value addition of resources committed to the program. And also, ongoing evaluation was adopted because so that one can take corrective action during the implementation. This also provides a measure of the impact pathway of the theory of change to the outcome and impacts of the training. So when we look at the research question 2, what kind of evaluation approach, please to the next slide, what kind of evaluation approach will be suitable for the 5G for entrepreneurs projects? We decided to adopt the program evaluation theory, which is an evaluation that starts from the planning stage to the check stage to the hack stage. It goes all around the project cycle. And this theory of evaluation is critical for building the program's framework through consensus among stakeholders on the link between purpose and means. So in this case, we had 4 stages. We had the baseline assessments, the midterm evaluation, the endline evaluation, and then the impact evaluation to assess the effectiveness and the impacts of the training. So in terms of methodology, of course, we have a case study, which is the 5G for Entrepreneurs, or 5G FBEE digitalized entrepreneurship projects. We used a mixed method approach and design with qualitative and quantitative methodology tools to collect data. We use uniform data collection tool. We use the online survey from the Kobo toolbox. Kobo toolbox allows us to get the real-time information about what is happening in the project location. So it provides they call it the gems. It provides the real time. You can know whether, where the participants are and how the project is going on and how it fares. So this was what we used in doing even the online survey, the Kobo toolbox. And then there was focus group discussion organized about 4 months after the end of the second workshop for impact assessment, where the participants had the option to write on the Flinger speak out, and then we used the Mentimeter or Zoom chats, even for that. And data was obtained from Finland, from Nigeria, and Ethiopia, and analyzed. So, yeah, what are the methods of analysis we use for the quantitative data? We use regression analysis. For the qualitative data, we use different methods. We use Mentimeter. We also use the dark principles and quality standards based on the 8 principles of impartiality and independence, credibility, usefulness, participation of donors and recipients, donor cooperation, and implementation of evaluation. And I think I've also mentioned that for also for the qualitative data, we analyzed it. We used descriptive analysis. We presented maps, percentages, tables, charts, and graphs to evaluate effectiveness. And we also did the t-tests of difference in mean of participants who had to self-evaluate or self-assess the level of skills that they gained from the workshop from baseline to the midline, and the difference between the baseline and the endline. We did the test of mean to evaluate that, and then we also used word cloud from Mentimeter to analyze text responses. Please, the next chart. The next one, please. So we have the graphs. This shows us from using the Kobo toolbox, we're able to disaggregate the survey responses from where the participants were at the time they were doing their baseline and endline assessment. So you can see from the chart that we have, participants answering those ones where you have numbers. That's where we have participants. In the north, you can see Helsinki, close to Stockholm. And then, in the south, we have Nigeria, you have Addis Ababa, and then you have Nigeria, Abuja, and maybe a number of, so this shows the geographically where the participants were located. Can you move on to the next slide? So at the start, we had the baseline assessment to ask the people, do you have any prior knowledge for 5G? And some 47% said they don't have prior knowledge. 39%, 53% said they have some prior knowledge. Now we disaggregated this to see whether how those who said they have some knowledge, is it low knowledge, is it moderate or high knowledge of this digitalized platform or digitalized entrepreneurship? In terms of overall current understanding of 5G, 15% of the people said they have low knowledge. Only 12% had high knowledge. Awareness, we look at different components of 5G. Evolution pathway of 5G mobile standards and key performance. 49% of the people said those who said they have knowledge said they had very low knowledge of it. Awareness of the key technological components of 5G radio access network and core network. 59% had very low knowledge, even those who said they had knowledge. So in other words, the last 3 columns were analyzing the response in the second column of this table. Entrepreneurial ideas that 5G technology, digitalized technology can unlock. or enabled. 56% said they had very low knowledge. Only a few people had high knowledge of it. So this gave us a baseline assessment of the level of knowledge. So the second, please, the next one. Then we also, so after this, then we had there was the first workshop, the 5G for Entrepreneurs workshop, which was concentrating on digitalization on one side and entrepreneurship ideas that digital platform can unlock. And after 1 week of lecture, participants were asked to rate their level of understanding in specific areas of 5G. And of course, from their rating, a number of, many of the participants, 70% said they now have high knowledge in terms of evolution of 5G mobile. In terms of indicators, 75% said they now have high knowledge after 1 week of the intervention program. Awareness of technology component, 5G radio access, 68% now have high knowledge. When you look at moderate to high, it has become like, it has become 98%. In terms of entrepreneurship idea that 5G can unlock after 1 week of training, 1 week of intervention program, 98% have moderate to high level of understanding. And they were also asked to rate which part of the workshop did they benefited most. And this was also done. Please, can we move on to the next slide? So after the second workshop, there was also participants who has to also rate their level of understanding. And after this, of course, this has gone up more. More people now have high understanding of the introduction to entrepreneurship, 5G ideas, entrepreneurship ideas that 5G can unlock, digitalized, how to finance digitalized entrepreneurship, pitching and piloting of projects, usability, training, business model canvas, overview of 5G. There was more understanding after the second training. Please, can we move on to the next chart? So this shows us, we use Mentimeter to analyze the text and to see the 3 key areas the training enhanced respondents' knowledge on entrepreneurship. And the key areas, the more the participants identify these as a key area that they have received knowledge, the bigger the words become using Mentimeter word cloud. So online business model canvas, pitching, creativity, entrepreneurship, customer services, entrepreneurial mindsets were key areas that they identified. Please, the next slide. They also has to identify key areas in terms of digitalized businesses and piloting, business model canvas, pitching, Internet of Things, communication skills also came right on top. What did the participant learn from the training? They said they learned about 5G, learned the use of 5G. Please, the next slide. Learn the use of 5G in business, using business model canvas, and pitching ideas. 5G to solve existing problems, 5G for healthcare, and all that. Networking were some of the things that they said they learned. So we look at the research question 2. If any, does the training enhance the participants' skill in entrepreneurship than before? And when we look at when we had the summative evaluation after the second week of the workshop, 97% said it enhanced their skills in entrepreneurship. 100% said it's improved their level of understanding of entrepreneurial ideas that 5G can unlock in terms of piloting and pitching. 90% said they have higher understanding of overview of 5G features and usability. And in terms of rating of what was most beneficial for them, they rated the group work brainstorming and the 5G challenges as the first most beneficial aspect of the workshop. So for the quantitative data, we went on to use regression analysis. Can you please move on to the next slide? We have the general form of the equation where we
Janet, sorry, I'm just going to step in. So we have about 3 minutes or so more presentation.
Okay, good. Okay, good. So I'll quickly run over this. So please move to the next slide. So we have the dependent and the independent variable. Essentially, we're trying to see whether the training and the workshop, we're looking at the cause and effects. What determines the, the training, the workshop, did it enhance the skill of the participants in different areas of digitalized entrepreneurship? And we had some control variables, which are, some personal characteristics like gender, and we also have country of origin as the control variable. And from the regression analysis, we see that those are the ones, please, the next slide, that I highlighted in yellow. The training, which first look at the first training, the first week of training, intervention program had positive impact on the participants' knowledge on evolution of 5G, entrepreneurship ideas, introduction to entrepreneurship idea that 5G can unlock. Please, the next slide. And the impacts of the, looking at the second workshop also enhanced. Can you move on to the next slide? Impact of the second workshop, yes, also had positive impacts on the participants' knowledge in all those skills. So in other words, the regression result shows that the skills of participants acquired more skill in entrepreneurship and digitalized business from the training than before the training. And the test of mean shows also significant difference between baseline and midline assessments and between baseline and endline data. Please, let's move on to the next slide. And also the next one after this. So we also had the focus group discussion. Yeah, so we had the focus group discussion. This is the picture of the, to show the participants at the focus group discussion. It was a virtual one. The students were gathered in one place and some were in other places. So this focus group discussion, we decided to pick the one of the universities that was represented, which was the Nasarawa State University in Nigeria, and had the focus group discussion with them. One of the questions that was asked is, do you have previous knowledge of digitalized entrepreneurship before the training? All of them said no. Has the participating, has it enhanced their skill? They said yes. Please, let's move on to the next slide. And so participants were asked to write, and the next one, to write on Flinger, what is the knowledge that they have acquired? The next one, from the digitalized, can you move on to the next slide, please? The knowledge that they have acquired. And they said that this has given them the ability to, have experience in business, entrepreneur, digitalized business. Please move on to the next one. So the key findings from the focus group discussion is that after the first and second workshop, 96% of them said it enhanced their skills, 100% said it enhanced their level of knowledge in entrepreneurship and pitching and digitalized. So in terms of sustainability, to what extent, please, the next slide, can the program benefits continue after the donor funding cease? Most participants in the focus group discussion responded that this will help them to multiply the digitalized entrepreneurship skills that they acquired by training between 10 and 500 people. And so the project sustainability is, it's achievable. And they can do that through their schools and network. And even one of them said he has already trained 10 of his colleagues in digitalized entrepreneurship. So in conclusion, the next slide. So in conclusion, the results of the evaluation directly answered the key questions. And the development cooperation actually worked. It was a good intervention because from the research questions and from the evidence and findings, we discovered that the training enhanced the skills of participants in entrepreneurship and digitalized business, and also enabled them to identify entrepreneurial ideas enabled by 5G technology. The theory of change also provides impact pathway for development for digitalized entrepreneurship projects, and the findings justify the suitability of program evaluation for future development cooperation. And in terms of recommendation, we recommend that program evaluation should be used for when we are evaluating a development cooperation project. That's number one. And that so many people wanted to be trained, but they couldn't because there was limitation. About over 500 people applied, only 200 were trained. So in the future, a training of trainers could be organized so that those trainers can now go and multiply the knowledge and train people in different society. Thank you very much for your attention.
Okay, Janet, thank you. That was very interesting from so many different angles. So we do have a bit of a time to have a conversation with you, and I'm going to invite anyone and everybody who has questions for Janet to either chat them in or raise your hand, and maybe we can unmute your line. But I have some questions for you, Janet. First of all, your presentation is so very topical. There are so many of us and so many other people who may not be evaluators, who may be organizations or the private sector or donors, who are involved in all kinds of projects in alignment with the Sustainable Development Goals and sustainability. So my question is, you had a multi-stakeholder project, it geographically dispersed. What were some of your greatest challenges while going through this process of evaluation? I'm very keen to hear also the non-technical experience, non-technical side of the challenges. But
yeah, thank you very much. Yes, as you have rightly said, different stakeholders and different, and we had participants and stakeholders in different countries. One of the greatest challenge was, of course, in terms of evaluation, there was a bit of, maybe I would say, low response to some of the questionnaires, the online survey and all that. And we had to send reminders and all that. But we're able to overcome that because we had done the mapping. If you look at the kind of mind map that I showed at the beginning of how, before the start of the program, we had different meetings and different consultations on, what each person is supposed to do and how it was going to be done and all that. So, and we had designated in each geographical location, somebody was like a coordinator in that part. So it was easy for that person to sort of, ensure that everybody is carried along, the participant and students in that area and all that. So that's how we're able to mitigate that challenge.
Thank you. Thank you for that. There is one question on the chat from Chandrakala asking, so they'd like to know the challenges a 5G digitalized entrepreneur can have while going through the process. Chandrakala, is your question the process of like the intervention, the project the program they're going through, or could you just describe very quickly which process you refer to?
I meant to say hello everyone.
Hi.
I meant to, while going through her studies and PhD thesis, she might have found some entrepreneur who through 5G digitalization or online business, through doing all those things, the various areas, they might have faced some crisis or some problems. So I'm just wondering what type of challenges they might have faced, and she might have learned from the interview or from people while going through and meeting everyone, if she could just share some of her experience on it.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for that question. So if I understand your question correctly, the project was not designed for those who are already entrepreneurs. It was designed to build capacity. It was a development cooperation to build capacity in the area of digitalized entrepreneurs. In other words, we had most of the participants in the development cooperation in the training program were students of IT in different universities and students who were studying other things, students of business, accounting, economics, finance, students studying computer science and all that. So essentially, it was supposed to build the skills of entrepreneurship on one hand, and also build the skills of digitalization, so that the participants were looking at a situation where they come out and they're not just looking for jobs and having a high level of unemployment, but where they are able to innovatively come together. There were also group works and all that. So it was, so it wasn't like, entrepreneurs coming up to say, okay, these are the challenges that we have faced, but it was building skills in terms of digitalized entrepreneurship, making them to think, come together as a group and think out of the box on how what are the innovative ideas that they have, what are the ideas that 5G can unlock, and how they can, get into that. So they're not, yes, of course, the problem that entrepreneurs will face in such an environment will be maybe, lack of electricity from some of the countries that we used, especially in the global south. Electricity is epileptic, it's not constant. Also, in terms of connectivity, the level of connectivity in terms of the, digital technology is also very low and all that, which was why we came up with this, intervention, this development cooperation in terms of technology transfer and knowledge transfer to build our skills in them. Yeah.
Thank you, Janet. We have another question, and this is from Masan Miape, Liberia, who says, can you explain how you utilize the concept of indigenous evaluation, specifically factoring in the voices of the indigenous people?
Yeah, thank you very much. We did not use indigenous, because when you talk of indigenous evaluation, you are talking of, indigenous people. We didn't use that in this case. In this case, we use project evaluation, and we had the training program in different countries in the global south, but our participants were mainly students. They were mainly students, university undergraduate students, those who are about to graduate or those who are doing their masters or PhD. Those are the kind of students that we had, essentially we built development, we built skills, the kind of capacity building, technical assistance skill, technology transfer on what are the things that they can use the 5G to unlock. So we didn't use indigenous evaluation skill in this, indigenous evaluation tool in this area. We use project evaluation tool of baseline assessment, formative evaluation, summative evaluation, and impact assessment. That's what we did.
Janet, thank you very much. And there is one other question, and this one is from Patsy. And Patsy is asking this question: recognizing that you've held some control factors constant, how will the evaluation process take into account other potential factors that can influence the success of entrepreneurial ideas? For example, access to capital, marketplace availability, etc.
Okay. Yes, thank you very much. That's a very good question. Yes, I mean, the training, the digitalized entrepreneurship training was training in the area of digitalization, as I rightly mentioned, which is 5G and different components of it. We had training on entrepreneurship, and we also had training program on digitalized entrepreneurship. And also part of it was, we also had training on, entrepreneurship financing, training on bankability of entrepreneurial ideas. What are different areas in which, how do we match this entrepreneurial idea, digitalized entrepreneurship idea with financing? So we had training in all that area. And so we're able to do that. Yes, of course, that's why we use mixed method. So that some of the issues we could not capture in the with quantitative technique, we're able to, delve deeper using qualitative data analysis, which we analyze with word cloud, Mentimeters, and all that. So that's what we did. Yes, we held some factors constant. We had some control variables. So, but we were more in the regression analysis. We were more interested in the impact of the training. We wanted to isolate the impact of this training on the level of skills that the trainees have now at the end of the training compared to their baseline, the baseline assessment, what they proposed that they had before the training.
Thank you very much for clarifying that, Janet. Okay, so Masan's asking a follow-on question on this. How did you ensure that all other contributing factors were identified and their level of contributions to the impact measured?
Yeah, of course, in the regression if you look at our regression model, you see the last one, which is the error term, which captures, and then we also have the constants. So all those things were there. But like I said, because those were captured by all the other variables that we cannot, of course, we know that there are so many variables that will contribute to the level of knowledge the entrepreneurs have now, before the training and after the training. But we're more interested in isolating the impact of this workshop. So all the other factors are there. Yes, we know the other factors are there. And that's why when you look at the hard score, if we go back to okay. So if you look at the adjusted hard score, the adjusted coefficient if you look at the hard score, you see that it's about 84.7%. In terms of, if you look at the first column, can you please, is it possible to go back to the slides and show the slide, regression? So in other words, when you look at the adjusted hard score, it shows that 80% of the variables, or in some cases, even 87.5% of the variables have been captured, of interest have been, captured. I want the table with the regression results. The table with the regression results, Randika. Yeah. So because the question was, before, can you go up a bit?
While Randika is bringing that up, I'll just do a quick time check. So we're about 11 minutes away from closing, Janet. So sooner or later, we're going to close this.
Okay, this one, yes, if you stay here. So yes. Yeah. So you see that the adjusted hard score shows what percentage of how has the equation explained the variables there of interest, has explained the variation in the variable of interest. For example, if we pick the last one, column 4, entrepreneurship ideas that 5G can unlock, you see that the adjusted R square is 84%. So it means that this equation, this variation in the dependent variable, 84.2% of it is explained by this equation. It's explained by the training, the digitalized training. So all the other ones, the error terms and all that, we didn't want, if I put a whole, of course, in the other documents, in the main documents, all these control country variables, they are listed. But I put them here this is a summarized, if not, the table will be too long.
I think, Janet, your point is well taken. I think you've explained this very, very nicely. So thank you very much for clarifying. I think we are almost at the end of the Q&A sessions. I'm really happy to see questions, but I have one question because this question, the Patsy's question and maybe Masan's question, to me is pointing toward a longer term impact. And I recall you saying that the assessment was done 4 months after. Was there ever a plan to go back and then check later on if people had implemented or if anybody had actually tried out ideas or set up businesses at all?
No, but actually the project, was replicated a year later. I mean, this year now, a few months ago, but has online, no funding, zero funding and all that. So it has sort of been domesticated. Mm-hmm. So for example, the University of Addis Ababa, another university in Nigeria joined with the University in Finland, and everything was done online. In the first part of the program, there were lots of traveling and movement and all that, which cost money. But this, second round, it was replicated and there was no funding involved, no movement involved. Everything has been domesticated by in terms of the training and capacity building. Now, in terms of going to the field and asking whether, how many people have they trained and all that in terms of the multiplier effect, that has not been done. Yeah.
Okay. Now, thank you for clarifying. So just to close this session, Janet, one thing you would advise either people who are designing programs or donors who are funding sustainability or impact projects or evaluators listening to you right now, what's one thing you will say to them?
Yeah, one thing I would say to them is that if they want to evaluate a development cooperation project, program evaluation is what they should adopt, because it will help to provide an holistic evaluation from the baseline to the, formative, summative, and then the impact assessments.
Wonderful. Thank you so very much. So this gives us a little bit of time to wrap up our discussion and hear from a few other people, but we have to take a group photo. So for those of you who can switch on your videos, please kindly do that. Let's just say a quick hi with Janet and have a photo. I think this will take maybe 30 seconds or so.
Ahmed, please Ahmed, let us know once done.
Okay, please open camera for participant. Okay, thank you everyone.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
So I want to share my screen, but I really can't tell if it's being shared.
It's
So-
not shared still.
Is it on share?
I know you haven't shared it still.
Oh, it's still, I need to share it. Okay. So we're almost at the end of our presentation here. I would like to invite Maya Albiento, the co-leader of Eval Youth Asia, to close this session with a few remarks.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon from Manila. Thanks so much, Janet, for that very interesting presentation, as well as a great interaction in the Q&A earlier. As Janet mentioned, development cooperation is good because they are meant to support countries, especially those in the global south, with knowledge and resources to be able to transform people's lives for the better and be more self-reliant. Her presentation of this case of evaluating digitalized entrepreneurship training in emerging economies is a good example of why we need more evaluations of development cooperation and programs that address the sustainable development goals. Her presentation underscores the important role of evaluations, not only for accountability, but also for learning, so that we can see what solutions work and what doesn't, and what could be done better to ensure that resources put into these types of programs and projects actually contribute to sustainable development and achieve their goal of leaving no one behind. So yeah, I hope we'll see more of these types of topics in future webinars of our theme. But I'd like to thank everyone who made this webinar a success. Anandita, you're always our go-to moderator. Thank you so much for being an awesome moderator, as always. Thank you, Janet, for sharing your expertise and experience. And to the production team, Adepea, Randy, Maduka, Ahmad, thank you so much for putting this all together. Punya from our APC Hub team for keeping everyone in the loop on social media. Who else? Biamba for the opening remarks. Thanks so much. And our team members who are also here. I think I saw Hasity as well in the audience, and to all our participants today. Thank you all for joining and for those interesting questions you shared as well. We hope you learned something new from our webinar today that you can take with you in your work, whether you are an evaluator or a commissioner of evaluations, or you are managing evaluations. I hope you learned something new from what Janet shared based on the learnings that she got from doing this evaluation. On behalf of the Using Evaluation to Report and SDGs thematic group at the PEA, we encourage everyone to continue thinking about ways to improve our evaluation practice to better contribute to sustainable development. And if you have any suggestions, maybe of what topics we can focus on in our future webinars, please do let us know, and we can talk about them, and we can have another webinar that speaks to what you want to learn from in terms of evaluating SDGs. So thank you so much again, and back to you.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Yes, please give us suggestions and we will take them on that. For those of you very much focused on evaluations and sustainability and any of the issues you're trying to measure or do better with, on 8th of August, there will be a session with parliamentarians for evaluation, insights from Mongolia and Nepal. Please join this discussion. If you can, it'll be a very interesting discussion with Ada Ocampo moderating it. And then on the 20th, there will be the second webinar of the National Evaluation Policies and Systems, looking at Bangladesh, China, and the Philippines. And the last thing I want to leave all of you with is a reminder that the Manila Declaration was signed in December during APIA's I think it was a conference last year in December, and you can see there is a QR code. So the Manila Declaration stands for as much institutionalizing of the M&E of SDGs as possible, because obviously we're all quite concerned about the status and how we get there by 2030. And we encourage everybody to sign the declaration. If you could please go ahead and scan that QR code and sign your name and stand by us, it would be wonderful. That's pretty much I want to ask from you. And thank you for your participation today. I think with that, we are good to formally close this webinar. Thanks, Janet. Thanks, May. Thanks, Bimba. Thanks, everybody. And thanks, everyone who asked amazing questions today. Thank you.
Thank you very much.